Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to this isn't the Sauce Pod, but welcome back to our weekly workshops as part of our 12-week community building cohort. This is week 9. I can't believe that we've made it this far already. It's kind of crazy that we have just a couple weeks left to go. Some days feels like a lull. Some days it's like, oh my God, we only have this many weeks left. So I'm excited to see what we have in store. This week is all about YouTube. And so I have with us here Linda Ray, who's going to share some YouTube strategies, some tips and best practices. We're going to keep it casual. We're just going to talk through it. I have some questions, and if the opportunity comes up to, share a screen or walk us through something, Linda, feel free to. And of course, use the chat or I guess it's the chat, the comments over on the right hand side. If you have any questions for Linda, if you want to add something, feel free to just throw it in over there, and some of these we might be able to even bring up on the screen. So I would love for you to introduce yourself, Linda, and tell the audience a little bit about what you do, what your background is, and sort of how you kind of got started on this YouTube journey.
Thank you so much, Taylor, for having me into the Sauce and Food Fight Studios, and Michelle Peterson Clark for being here. Thank you. My name is Linda Ray. I own a business called Aurora Consulting LLC, which has made itself into a few different iterations in the past 5 years due to selling my business in New York and the pandemic, flushing 2 businesses. Our first and foremost mission and passion is helping small business owners overcome a lot of mistakes we've made. And during COVID, when we were specializing in business financing, specifically the disaster loans through the Small Business Administration here in the US, we worked with hundreds and hundreds of small business owners and interacted with thousands of small business owners all over the country through our YouTube live Q&A. And we saw a lot of mistakes, very many mistakes that we were not surprised, but we felt it resonated with us. And so we then started a second YouTube channel, Simple Sense for Small Business, which was to assist with, again, sharing all the foibles and being fallible on YouTube and how we can overcome it and get stronger and bigger, etc. So I think that's the long and short of it. And as far as YouTube getting started, this was it was fun to just be a part of it and witness it firsthand, but also just to see all the things that unfolded. When pre-COVID, we had a business financing brokerage helping small businesses get money out of the bank when they didn't want to lend. And we had a matrix of lenders. And what happened was we started our YouTube channel. We started 2 weekly shows, If Then Thursday, which was a consequence and circumstances, because again, all about the before and after and the mistakes and solutions. And then also Finance Fridays, which was tips on how to help apply for a loan if you're going to go and try to do it yourself with the bank. And nobody watched. I, had to beg and pay people to subscribe to our channel. And then when the pandemic hit and our business was flushed because all of the lenders were like, hey, see ya, we're going to go do payroll protection. We were holding the bag with about $3.5 million in loans. And that was about $1.50 in commission. So that was flushed. Thank you very much. And so Trevor, being the financing person for 30 years, he said, let's just talk about this disaster loan. I said, okay, there's one. We didn't know anything about it. So I Googled how to apply for an EIDL loan. And thus Google provided about 6 to 8 other questions people are searching for. And I said, we're going to do 3 to 4 minute videos on these questions on what people are searching for. And the reason I did that was because for May, June, July, August, 4 months, we were going live with a breaking news kind of thing. What's the SBA doing wrong now? And how can you overcome the dysfunction of the SBA? And nobody watched our live Q&A. So that was the summer of 2020. So then the Advancing with Financing show, I love alliterations. I love stuff that rhymes. So we did the questions people are searching for, and let's do 3 to 4 minute videos. All of a sudden, within a couple of months, our channel was being discovered. People were finding us, subscribing, and calling us. The lead gen was insane. We were getting about 12 prospects a day and had to create a whole filtering, onboarding, gateway kind of prospecting pool, so to speak. And that's and then it was just like every day we were getting more subscribers, and the way it works, more and more every day. And then we can talk about in a little while what happens when that isn't happening anymore. We'll talk about the niche and what I see now, which is similar to 3 years ago. So yeah, that's the long and short of it. Good stuff.
And were you, Linda, were you making content, or at least video content, at all prior to even getting into YouTube?
I was writing a lot. I was writing blogs, and Trevor's more of a writer than I am, but he since has a financing background, he would write all of the business financing content, and I was focusing on marketing because prior to the business financing, Aurora Consulting was helping insurance agencies and insurance professionals with how to market their business, because that's my background is insurance. I owned an agency, and my specialty was marketing. And so I was writing and really wasn't doing video at all. It was out of nowhere that I was like, we're going to do this, Trevor. And he was like, I'm not doing this. Who cares about this? And then he was like, this is amazing. So he was on board.
I love it. And how long were you creating like the video content on YouTube when you started to notice that it was actually catching fire in the subscribers? Like, was it one piece of content, like one video that just went crazy, went viral, or was it kind of like a trickle in and suddenly there was more discoverability and search, and you were kind of climbing the ranks that way? Like, what was that journey like?
There definitely was not one video that went viral. It was a culmination of videos, a few videos a week, which is very difficult. But at the time, we really weren't. We had no clients, so we had time, and that's my biggest thing. If you don't have clients, you probably have more time to invest in yourself. If you don't want to invest actual money, because there's time currency and then there's money currency. So we kind of went all in on YouTube to develop the library of content on a regular basis. Yeah.
So, and I apologize if you're hearing any of my background noise, you guys. I've got a tile cutting business apparently happening right next door in the middle of the day. So I'll try to mute myself on the in-betweens. But I wanted to ask, how did you and Trevor, like, how did you find the momentum to maintain consistency in the early days when you're just like, I'm spending all this time creating 3 videos a week, maybe editing them, putting them out? Let me just tell you from experience, I know that YouTube is such a powerful way to grow, and there's sort of a very cut and dry approach to it that you can follow, but it takes me so much time. I will put my video up there, then creating the content is only like half of the struggle. The other part is actually like optimizing it and like doing all that. So my question is, like, how do you maintain that consistency when you're like, I'm doing this 3 times a week and I'm not seeing any results yet, or I'm not seeing the subscribers come in? Like, a lot of creators just give up. Some will continue pushing through, but how did you like sort of find that balance?
Well, there's a couple things that I found to be the case in our situation, and we were net niche. The SBA EIDL disaster loan program, to be creating content for that, there were competitors, but it was a very small group of people talking about this stuff. So we did have that as a benefit. If your business does have an opportunity to niche in some capacity, I highly do recommend, because that I think that really helped. And also, it was a breaking news kind of thing, but I think through creative marketing, and Michelle Peterson Clark is here, so as the content marketing queen, she probably understands how you can create and get creative with a smaller niche within a general type of bucket. There's just a way to get creative in your marketing. And so we were very niche. Delegation is an art. And what I found is, and Trevor and I were a team, so it wasn't just me. So even if you have one partner in the business, there is an opportunity to divide and conquer. And so Trevor would come up with ideas. I would help search for keywords and the questions and how to pose the question on the video. One of the biggest mistakes that I made was confusing how to craft the title of the video versus the subject line of an email. They're two very different things and deserve just as much attention to the words you use and how you phrase things. And so the first thing I stopped doing when I installed one of the video optimizing plugins, I use TubeBuddy, and there's also vidIQ. I was able to search on how to, not only the idea, but then how to phrase it very specifically. So it was a little bit more on the discoverability charts. So one thing is, again, to just back up, is if you're finding and you review your metrics in your business and you see there's a profit center that brings more revenue in, you could focus that and maybe niche the marketing down in that perspective. And then the other thing is, even if you have one other brain kind of overseeing the process for the content creation, that will help. And then I eventually did have to delegate the editing. That took a lot to let go of that. Some people are like, please just take it. But for me, the editing was, and get a great editor that understands your personality and that understands your tone and your voice and your brand, so that you can feel that as an extension, the video as an extension, as if you're doing a live video and you're talking and people can, have accessibility to you and your personality. Because
were you doing that editing?
In the beginning, I was.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, in the beginning I was, and it was, I'm glad that I did, because again, everything, when you own a business, there are some things that you're going to either have to do in your business because you have to learn it yourself. And then you're better able to delegate it and to train somebody in that perspective. So I was doing it, and I had a lot of fun with sound effects and B-roll and all of that fun stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you touched on some of the best, we kind of want to go here anyways, but you touched on some of the best practices, the little tricks and tips, whether it's, in your title or in your description, or maybe how you set up, playlists. I don't know. All I know is that every time I go into the YouTube studio, I break out in hives, and I'm like, okay, here we go again. So what are some of those little things that always pay attention to when you're actually optimizing or uploading your content?
Well, there's two different things specifically that I found to be, again, opportunity. And the video itself, each video, and especially if you're using a TubeBuddy plugin, I did put a link in the comments, one of the first comments, if you scroll back, to a video I did, probably, it might have been 2 years ago, on YouTube marketing. And I talk all about, and screen sharing and navigating TubeBuddy on all the different pieces of real estate within a video description that you can leverage and maximize. And so I do encourage you to watch that, because that alone, I think that was a 30-minute or maybe a 20-minute video just by itself. The other thing, yeah, thank you. And the other thing is, your home channel has so much opportunity for a landscape to be navigated by somebody coming into your channel. You have the cover page, you have the about section that gives you ample characters and words to use on what are you going to deliver on this channel. The playlists I found are just, people can click on video and see all the videos in chronological order, but the playlists really gives a highlight of videos, especially for a specific problem or solution that somebody's looking for. Then they will see exactly how it's laid out and what you're trying to convey in your messaging. I do want to say hello to Kim. Hi, Kim. Nice to see you here. And Ricardo, Michelle Peterson Clark too. Thanks for joining. I'm sorry, I just went totally tangential there, but I did want to say hi to some people. Thank you for coming.
Oh, good.
So yeah, so the video itself is its own is its own real estate, and then the channel itself is its own real estate. Also, YouTube keeps advancing how to make it so much easier for people to see your content, and they've added tabs just for shorts, and they've added a tab just for lives, and I think that helps to just organize when people are looking. Another tip that I just want to jump in and offer, but you didn't really ask, but I do want to say, I remember, I think it was January 2021, and maybe I was a little behind, but when shorts were introduced on YouTube, I was like, oh, okay. Another thing to learn, another sort of out of the habit of how we go about our creation process. I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to test it. And if you go back to my older shorts, it's like, okay, this is my first short, and I guess I got a minute. So, it was very, pedestrian. But one thing I did find as a quantifiable result, the shorts were getting a lot of hits, and the shorts were a sort of that loss leader kind of strategy. It was that thing that people saw and that it brought them in, and then they started browsing a little bit. It's like you're going in for the shirt, but you're looking for the full suit, kind of thing. So that I do recommend. And those are so easy to do, in my humble opinion, because you only have a minute. And you don't have to be super like, oh, yeah. I mean, sometimes I get just out of therapy, I get like, I'll do the sound effects and I'll do the B-roll and I'll do the jump cuts to edit it, to get it down.
Because they're kind of fun to create too.
They are.
I know that might be an unpopular opinion, but I love creating shorts and on TikTok as well. Like sometimes you can find yourself in a little bit of like an editing hole, and then you're just like, 3 or 4 hours of your life are gone. But it is fun. And like we've experienced on the sauce and on food fights as well, just our channels have seen a lot of growth just through shorts. And I didn't realize that was a thing until a few months ago. And I'm like, okay, this is where a lot of this traction is coming from. People love the short form video content. So I think it's like almost like lowest hanging fruit. If you're so overwhelmed by YouTube and you're like, I don't know what to do first, create a short, because they're fun.
It's the appetizer before the meal, right?
Yeah.
So it's a tasty little treat, and it's just enough. And if they're done in a way, people will look for you for more stuff. And that's the other thing why for us, the video marketing as a lead gen for your small business, going back to what I originally said, we were getting 12 prospects a day. Now, we were in a different scenario. I was a generalist my entire life. So to be in a super niche space was a welcoming treat for me. But when we noticed that people were finding us on either Google or YouTube, we were more encouraged. And this goes back to your original question. How did you find the motivation, and how, and then there's also the time when we saw that our content was working for people to be interested in us and either supporting us or subscribing or even calling and hiring us. That is what gives some juice into why am I doing this? I am helping people with a severe problem. I mean, our issue for what we were providing, people were going to close their business if they did not get money during lockdown. So, and also when you give something away for free, it's to be stingy about that is just it's the nose with the face. Whatever that saying is, and baby with the bathwater. The more you give to people to show your true intention of wanting to assist in some way, however that is, whatever problem is that you're solving or whatever experience you're looking to deliver, the more that you show that you're accessible and approachable, they will start realizing, you know what? And that's what happened. People are like, oh, I saw your video. Thank you so much. That was so I needed to hear that, but can I give you this money to do it? I don't want to do it. Just take my money and
I read something once that was like, be free with value, but charge for implementation. And that's it, man. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Kim. Okay, so it's all about. I'm sorry, I don't want to jump your show. I saw the question and
do your thing.
So, one thing I've heard people ask this question, and everybody has a personality of something that makes you amazing. Okay. That's my opinion. I think there is something about you that people will need to have or need to know or want to align with you. Number one. Number two, if you aren't feeling super comfortable or confident in that perspective, I highly recommend doing a collaborative effort or schedule a panel online with other people so that you can bounce ideas with one another. When Trevor and we would do our duet show, whatever you call it, we were together, and that assisted with the energy. I didn't like doing it by myself. I felt better having a partner, having, a sidekick or whatever, just somebody. What is it? What are those? Some of the famous Batman and Robin, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I definitely highly recommend getting a buddy, right? And hang out with a other professional that you can bounce ideas off of. And also it acts as a bit of an accountability partner because one of you will want to not do this. And because you start seeing results, you're going to lift each other up and you're going to that momentum will be there. I promise.
I love that. Yeah, that's so important. I mean, it's the same on a lot of content platforms as well. I find it so much easier to engage in conversations in almost like this format or have somebody to sort of be your co-pilot as you're creating content, because to your point, it's hard to be self-motivated when you're the only one doing it, especially with all of the things involved in being a YouTube creator, which is not only producing video, scripting, editing, planning, optimizing, all of these different steps that go into it. You can kind of like split that load a little bit, and split the accountability too.
The other thing too, I want to suggest, Kim, because I have tried all different ways to create content, and Trevor and a lot of our videos are together. We've done a lot of videos on video together. We've done a lot of videos audio only with just a still image. In fact, our Simple Sense for Small Business channel was originally a podcasting channel with audio only. And so we did that together. But earlier this year, I started interviewing other people that I found with their expertise. I wanted to see how their knowledge would impact small business owners in some way. So that's, I've interviewed John Briggs and Mike Neubauer. Michelle, I'm coming for you. Okay. All right. I'm coming for you. And so Trevor was like, oh, okay, good. I get a break, but I still, oh, no. This is live, Trevor. This is live. Oh boy. This is live.
He had to get that in. I love it.
Now we were close there. He contained his exuberance. But yeah, so that too, Kim, if you have folks in your space that are, people that complement your expertise and you want to interview them, then that sort of takes the load off it. And it's also great practice being on video, practicing speaking on video. And also, I will say after we did the 3 to 4 minute videos, Advancing with Financing, on specific questions that I Googled, we started going live again. And that was a game changer. That was a whole different experience. There were people now that were looking for us, and they found us, and they tuned in, and they did a lot of Q&A, a lot of comments. Our show was just Q&A, and we were the only ones answering questions live specific to their problem without an agenda of, oh, we're not going to tell you that, you have to hire us. We just answered the questions. Like, And they give it away for free. These people were desperate. We didn't want to game the system with like all that, gatekeeping of info.
So talk to me about this, because I'm really fascinated by live streams in general. And I've been thinking about that as well. Like after this cohort ends, what is the next series, or is it going to be live streams? So I'm kind of balancing that myself as a creator. Like what were the most like tangible benefits of going live for you? What was your cadence? And also, was it the same audience that your subscribers were, or was it also just people finding you because you were live?
It was people finding us because we were live. The other tip I highly recommend that you institute if you're going live is we developed lead magnets for specific reasons and purposes so that when people were live, they could go to our website, download a sample application of with Trevor's comments as a 30-year loan officer, various different meaningful lead magnets. And we would coordinate the lead magnet with our live show. And that compounded how people were getting into our system. And when we would send emails about our live shows, it just exponentially began to grow because we were monetized depending on our Q&A and who was there and the question they asked and the answer we provided. They would donate money to us. So there was a financial benefit, quantifiable. And even if they donated, or even if they didn't donate to us, we would get a call, and they would come to our website and schedule a call, and they would ultimately hire us in some instances. So I'm not saying it's just easy breezy, extra cheesy. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of time to develop. It's a lot of, thinking outside the box of ways to promote and ways to structure the offer, so to speak, or the event so that people would feel like I cannot, it's a FOMO strategy without it being super negative, And so with the lives, very hard. There were times we went live where we weren't even sure what we were going to say, but we had some semblance of order, some outline. And now Trevor's in the back. I don't need a guy cutting tile. I have Trevor in the kitchen making noise. Trevor, it's a stone counter. I can hear everything.
Well, if it's worth anything, I can't really hear it. Oh, but I'm sure you might be able to hear this tile factory happening behind me. It's fine. It's another Wednesday, you guys.
It's another Wednesday. It's all good. But Q&A to me is having to be live. Thank you. Oh, I have a scone. He brought me a scone. Thank you. Local.
Home baked here in Roxbury, Connecticut.
Awesome. Okay.
Look at that service.
Very sweet.
I rock.
I love it. I love this.
He's very sweet. So, I think, with the live Q&A, back to your question, what we did was we planned what questions if they weren't asked, we would present them. And that would create a dialogue between Trevor and I. It would create comments that then it was a snowball effect. We went into a live show where we always had some kind of bullet point, some kind of questions that were the dysfunction of the day with the SBA. And so there was a lot of preparation that went in. If you don't prepare, then it could get a little unnerving because you're just like, what do I say next? And that affects your speech and how you deliver and how your brain calculates, what am I going to say next? And practicing not having all the pauses and the ums and the ahs. And that's just basic speaking etiquette kind of thing. So it's a lot of practice and preparation. You're muted, my love. No, I can't hear you. I can read your lips.
You can't hear me now.
Oh, now I can hear you. Okay. Okay.
Good. What in your experience, what have been the most like, if I guess if you were to tell a creator who's just starting out on YouTube, like what are the top things I need to know that I need to pay attention to most when I'm putting content out there? What would you recommend? I know thumbnail is probably one of them. But I might be wrong. So I would love to hear your perspective on that.
Okay, well, first, my disclaimer is I am definitely not a YouTube expert by any stretch. But if Sean Cannell, Daryl Eves, I think Roberto Blake as well, especially for monetizing and having shows. I think he's fantastic. I'm going to see him in Cleveland, and I have a picture of him. I wish I could show you right now. Anyway, so the very first thing I tell people to do is if you have under 1,000 subscribers, invest in the TubeBuddy plugin. I promote TubeBuddy because I am an affiliate. You will help Trevor and I get a cup of coffee at Starbucks or wherever we go for coffee. I'm not, it's not I'm not getting rich on this affiliate marketing, but I would say TubeBuddy, get the plugin so you can start structuring your videos and see how people are searching for the content that you are looking to create. Number one, the thumbnail. It took me years, and it's an ongoing practice, especially if you're not a graphic designer. You don't really need to be one. And I think people get overwhelmed with, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. The best advice I heard when I was doing and switching up and all the different ways, if you go to our Simple Sense channel or our EIDL channel, you will see, if you go back in the history, how the thumbnails looked. I started using Canva templates for YouTube thumbnails, and that was even not good. You need basically 3 elements: a background, bright color, maybe a shocking facial expression or something compelling, like, why does this person look like they're, flying out of a plane and jumping out of a plane. And then the text overlay, which is not supposed to be more than 3 to 5 words. That was the best advice I got, to clean it up, keep it crisp, keep it simple, minimize. And it really does teach you how to have your content be very streamlined in the words of what the message is. You have to learn how to say less when it comes to thumbnails, and you can get wordy in your description because you got 5,000 characters or something like that, but you have to learn how to really minimize the messaging with words in the title and the thumbnail.
And do you have a specific structure for or I guess a framework that you follow for every type of video, where because I know that in a lot of best practices will say, within the first 10 seconds, you want to communicate what this content is about. So what is sort of your rough framework of how you split it up throughout each video?
Depending on what the content is, if I open the video, when I'm doing the raw footage and the raw recording, if I say it in the beginning, maybe I'm lucky. But usually somewhere in the video, there's something about that makes this video, why you should watch this whole video. So I'll take a bit of something towards the end and put it in the middle. And then I have a transition. And then I have I'm Linda Ray with Simple Sense for Small Business, mistakes we've made so you don't have to. Today we're going to be talking about, and that way. But I do try to grab a hook from the actual conversation that isn't so structured, right? So that's, and the other thing too, here's a tip that I learned not maybe 2 years ago or a year ago. One thing about YouTube is paying attention to the analytics. And it's a lot, but if you start out with a couple of key metrics, one of them is, where are people falling off and what's happening at that time for them to fall off. And YouTube allows when you're in the video itself, on the left side, when you're looking at the video, in the video, there's editor, and you can actually edit pieces out of the video that may not be serving you. So whether it's like, I have a client who her whole beginning of her video for like, I don't even know, 8 or 10 seconds was just her logo with music, chopped it out and got
Yeah.
when she was, right to when she was talking about what the video was about. We did with the trailer video for Simple Sense for Small Business was, I think, 3 minutes, and people were dropping off at a minute 20. I just chopped the rest of that off and got rid of it. There was nothing even going on. It was like a testimonial about how fantastic we are. So it was not even, there was no point to keep it. So I chopped it. Nice to see you here. I know you have to go, Michelle, if you haven't left already. Thank you. And so I definitely recommend. And also, one of the tips, the greatest tips I got from Daryl Eves is in the video, and then we can wrap this up because we're on 35 minutes, but in the video, you can edit anything in the video, the description, the title, you can, and the thumbnail. So what I do sometimes is I will have a couple different thumbnails and switch them out after a couple hours or after overnight, and I'll put a new thumbnail in there. And that's the what's that? It's not CTR. It's the I don't remember what the impression, click to impression. I never remember all this stuff, but if it's low, like under 5%, I'll switch it out. And I have seen where my whatever click-through metric that is go from like 3 to 14%.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So it does work. When you're in double digits, and I've seen double digits, it's awesome. But if you aren't getting there, you can play around with all kinds of stuff. So just that too is, I want to share that.
Amazing. I've been like kind of taking some notes. So and I'm glad that we have this recorded too. So anyone who wants to catch the replay can definitely do so. And maybe we'll even cut this up and make some shorts out of it. I don't know.
I'm all about it.
Anything else, Linda, that you want to add? Any like final takeaways before we kind of wrap things up for the day?
I think first thing, make sure, I would say, get the TubeBuddy. It's $43 for the year if you don't get the expanded. I think for $147 for the year, then you have more features with the SEO of the description and all that kind of stuff. But to just start out as a learning curve and flattening that proverbial learning curve, $43 for the year for TubeBuddy. It's great.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to answer any questions if you want to reach out to me. I have a little group on Geneva, it's not Discord. For me, it's a little softer than Discord. So I have a group there.
Awesome.
And yeah, so I'm happy to answer any questions there as well. And I mean, I wouldn't be, if I didn't do a little CTA of my own, I would love for you to subscribe to our Simple Sense for Small Business channel. And again, it's all about running a small business, managing a small business, making mistakes in small business. And we are always just talking about a myriad of things there. So would love for you to subscribe there as well.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll add that one up to the overlay, a little screenshot of it as well for this. But thank you so much, Linda. This was really great. This was a good casual chat about somebody who's done it and been able to explore, and build a successful audience and content on YouTube. We didn't get to talk about the monetization stuff, but we'll get there probably at some point in the future. So maybe we'll have to have you back, Linda. We'll talk about the partner program and all of that good stuff.
Would love to talk about that, and also talk about what happens when you stop doing the things you were doing and what happens then.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have to start over?
We could dive into that. We're also meeting tomorrow on Twitter Spaces to talk more with the community at large about YouTube. So if you're around for that, Linda, we'd love to hear from you on there. But anyone who's listening is also welcome to join that. It's going to be 12 p.m. noon on Twitter Spaces. So
awesome.
Once again, thank you so much, Linda. This was a wonderful kind of lesson crash course, fireside chat, if you will. And I really appreciate your time. I can't wait for us to do this again.
Thank you so much, Taylor. And thank you to the Sauce and Food Fight Studios, and get in their Discord too.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We'll see you around.
Bye.